Chapter 2.
Matak peered through the viewport as the shuttle descended toward the gleaming metal expanse of Novus Primaris's main hub. Gone were the sweeping vistas of lush rainforests and glittering spires that had graced Loren's skyline. Here, stark durasteel canyons rose in angular, utilitarian shapes against the blackness of space. A far cry from the verdant paradise he'd called home, yet this barren, artificial realm would be his forge for the foreseeable future. The shuttle's repulsors flared, settling them onto a landing pad with a slight jolt. Matak unstrapped himself, collected his meager belongings, and joined the trickle of new arrivals disembarking down the ramp. "Matak!" A gruff voice cut through the cacophony of the hangar deck. He turned to find a heavy-set Vesk waving him over, the creature's leathery features arranged into what passed for a welcoming expression. "Baron, Colonial Engineering Corps," the alien rumbled by way of introduction. "I'll be overseeing your orientation." With a curt nod, Matak fell into step beside the Vesk as he led them away from the bustling hangar. Baron moved with the rolling, top-heavy gait characteristic of his species, each footfall sending subtle vibrations shivering up through the deck sole. They passed through a maze of sterile white corridors, punctuated by occasional viewports revealing the inky vastness beyond. Matak glimpsed towering solar array farms stretching out into the distance, their mirrored panels glittering in the distant sun's rays like the wings of some vast metallic insect. "The Primaris Initiative's main goal is getting this colony established and self-sustaining," Baron explained, his voice echoing off the metal bulkheads. "Resources are limited, so optimizing efficiency is crucial, especially when it comes to power generation and distribution." They entered a wide room dominated by a sprawling holographic display, its rotating blueprints and schematics casting kaleidoscopic shadows across the overhead lighting arrays. A half-dozen technicians moved among the various workstations, lost in their own tasks and conversations. "This is Colonial Engineering's main ops hub," the Vesk continued with a sweeping gesture. "You'll be assisting our team in ensuring those solar farms are running at peak output. We've got to squeeze every last watt out of those arrays to meet power demands." Matak eyed the technicians, an assortment of alien species from across the diaspora. A few glanced up from their consoles, curious eyes appraising the newcomer. Some seemed welcoming enough, offering polite nods or half-smiles in greeting. Others, however, wore more guarded expressions, skeptical or even outright hostile. No doubt their wariness stemmed from the hardships and displacement many of them had endured. A shared struggle, then, despite their myriad origins. He gave a slight incline of his head in response, resolute, yet respectful. "Listen up," Baron barked, drawing the attention of the other techs. "This is Matak, one of our new engineering recruits from Loren. I expect you all to get him up to speed on procedures and show the same level of professionalism you'd want for yourselves." A few murmurs and muttered greetings rippled through the group. Matak remained impassive, though he felt the weight of those scrutinizing stares prickling along his pelt. Only time would reveal whether these would become trusted allies or mere professional associates keeping their distance. For now, he focused on the task at hand. Redemption would not be handed to him freely. He would have to earn it, through skill, determination, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. The same virtues that had elevated him among his own people. "Right then," Baron grunted once the room had settled. "Enough jawing. Let's get you on the floor and see what you can do." The first few cycles passed in a blur of activity as Matak shadowed the more experienced technicians on their repair rotations and inspections. He learned the intricacies of the vast solar array's operations, studying their energy collection matrices and transfer conduits with keen fascination. Optimizing output, maintaining peak efficiency. It was all a delicate balancing act between form and function, artistry and pragmatism. Aspects that had always stirred Matak's soul with wonder. On the third rotation, he volunteered to take the lead on a repair to one of the array clusters reporting fluctuating power levels. With deft precision and an almost meditative focus, Matak traced the fault to a cluster of microfractures in the array's main transfer conduit. Within a quarter cycle, he had implemented a series of bypasses and load rebalancing protocols, restoring the array's output to optimal parameters. "Well, I'll be..." Baron rumbled from beside him, grudging approval glinting in his beady eyes. The Vesk snapped a quick series of commands, bringing up a holographic diagnostic display. You've got this whole sector greenlit again. Nicely done. Matak felt the ghost of a satisfied smile tug at his muzzle, chest swelling with quiet pride. A small victory, perhaps, but one achieved through perseverance and mastery of his craft. Here, on the anvil of this new beginning, he had shaped order from chaos. It was but the first step on the long road ahead. Yet that simple accomplishment rekindled the embers of hope smouldering in his soul. A new forge awaited. After cycling through the repair rotations, Matak finally found himself returning to his living quarters, a humble berth nestled amid the residential decks like so many others. Yet it was his own quiet sanctuary, away from prying eyes and lingering distrust. As the door slid open with a whisper of hydraulics, he was greeted by a flurry of motion and a strange, high-pitched trill. Instinctively dropping into a defensive crouch, his night vision flooded the cramped chamber with ghostly emerald shadows. There, perched atop his narrow sleeping pallet, crouched a peculiar little creature no larger than his outstretched palm. It regarded him with huge, luminous eyes, stubby limbs clutching the bedroll as its sinuous tail swished in agitation. Matak held perfectly still, studying the bizarre entity that had invaded his sanctuary. He couldn't quite place its species or origin, but its behavior seemed intelligent, cautious yet curious, much like his own first instincts upon arriving here. Slowly, he set aside his belongings and rose from his defensive stance, still keeping a respectful distance. The creature blinked those huge black eyes at him, then uttered another soft chirrup. "Well now," he murmured, allowing a hint of amusement to bleed into his tone. "Where did you come from, little friend?" The creature cocked its head at the sound of his native language, almost as if it could comprehend the meaning behind the words. Then, with a final flick of its tufted tail, it scampered over and leapt nimbly onto his shoulder, eliciting a startled grunt of surprise. Yet the little alien showed no aggression, merely nuzzling against the warmth of his neck fur with a contented churr. Bemused, Matak reached up to gently scratch behind its ears, drawing an appreciative rumble in response. "You are a strange one," he murmured, grudgingly charmed by the creature's forthright manner. "Yet I sense a kindred spirit beneath that peculiar exterior, a shared yearning for companionship in this cold and unforgiving place." With a thoughtful hum, Matak moved toward his berth and settled onto the mattress, allowing the little alien to hop down and nestle at his side. As if sensing his melancholy, it scooted closer, a warm, reassuring presence anchoring him to the moment. "Akamai," he decided at length, the word rolling off his tongue with an easy cadence. "I shall call you Akamai, for you possess a wisdom and cleverness that belies your diminutive stature, my friend." Akamai chirruped in response, almost seeming to nod in agreement. Allowing the barest hint of a smile to crease his muzzle, Matak settled back against the berth and closed his eyes with a weary sigh. The day's labours still sang through his muscles, yet his spirit felt lighter than it had in ages. Though his path forward would be wrought with challenges, it seemed the universe had granted him an unexpected boon in this little creature, a kindred soul to share in the triumphs and struggles ahead. With that comforting thought cradling him, Matak allowed himself to drift into a deep, dreamless slumber. Tomorrow would be a new day, and with his newfound companion at his side, he looked forward to greeting it with renewed purpose. The next morning, Matak awoke to find Akamai nestled against his side, the little creature's breath huffing softly in sleep. Carefully extricating himself from the berth, he set about his morning routine, allowing the familiar motions to settle his mind into a state of focused tranquility. As he moved through his warm-up stretches, he couldn't help stealing occasional glances toward the strange alien still slumbering on his bed. Akamai's presence was oddly comforting amidst this sterile, impersonal environment. A reminder that even here, life's peculiarities could still catch one unawares if one remained open to them. A quiet chirp drew his attention back to the present as Akamai roused, shaking out its tufted fur and blinking bleary eyes in his direction. Matak offered a slight dip of his head in greeting. "Come, my friend, there is work to be done." With that, he gathered his tools and made for the door, trusting Akamai would follow in its own time. Sure enough, as he stepped out into the corridor, a blur of motion zipped past his feet to scamper along at his side. The operations hub held the same orderly chaos as the previous day, a symphony of murmurs and code prompts mingling with the steady thrum of machinery. Matak moved among the workstations with easy confidence, checking diagnostics and inspecting subsystems. For the most part, everything ran with optimal efficiency, a well-oiled machine governed by strict protocols and procedures. Yet Matak's keen senses detected a slight anomaly, an ever-so-faint thrumming resonance out of sync with the rest of the power grid's harmonic vibrations. Frowning, he pulled up a series of schematics and began running a diagnostic sweep, tracing the subtle discrepancy across various subsystems. Akamai crouched beside one of the consoles, watching his movements with that same attentive curiosity. Within a few minutes, Matak had isolated the source, a misaligned power coupling in one of the secondary transfer conduits. Not a critical failure, but one that could potentially cascade into more serious issues if left unchecked. Without a word, he coded a bypass routine and implemented a series of compensating frequency oscillations to realign the coupling. Within moments, the discordant thrum had faded, the entire array humming in perfect synchronicity once more. "Everything looking squared away over there?" a gruff voice rumbled from nearby. Matak glanced up to find Beron looming over the console, his broridgiferowid in consternation. The Vesk eyed the little alien perched beside Matak with obvious bemusement. "All is well," Matak replied, matter of fact. "A minor power coupling misalignment, now resolved." He waved a hand, dismissing the diagnostics. "Efficiency has been restored to optimal parameters." Beron blinked, clearly caught off guard by Matak's nonchalant tone. Right. Well, good work then. Carry on." With that, the Vesk lumbered away, shaking his head in a mixture of confusion and grudging respect. Matak paid him little mind, already turning his focus toward the next potential anomaly awaiting his scrutiny. Akamai chirruped beside him, almost a sound of encouragement. Matak allowed a ghost of a smile to crease his muzzle as he continued his vigil over the power grid's intricate systems. Redemption lay in the endless pursuit of solving such intricate puzzles and restoring perfect order from the chaos. Each conundrum was a new challenge to conquer, a testament to his ingenuity and skill. Here, in the beating heart of the colony's power matrix, Matak had found his new forge, and with Akamai at his side, he looked forward to firing it into an unstoppable blaze.